top crews in every team, in every car, so it's very hard to say, but I'm sure it's going to be a great battle. And you never race based on what other people are doing. You do your own thing. Yeah, of course. The objective is to win. I think all of us here have that same objective. So you can't look at the others. You just try to do the best possible job. These are endurance races of 500 kilometers with barely any information, so you can't really copy anyone unless you catch the car in front. We've just got to do our own rally and see where we end up.
Matthias Ekström, do you have the tool to win the Dakar as soon as year 2?
I think we have the car, the team, and for sure with Stefan and Carlos, also the experienced drivers to do so. And if I can have a couple of good days and stay out of trouble, maybe some days we can also show that we are fast. But to look for the overall picture for Audi, I think definitely we are much more ready this year compared to the first time. And also now the last testing we've done, you know, they asked me, what's your wishes? I said, I have no more wishes left. It's to go home and do my own preparation and then just wait for the Dakar to start. So just happy to wait for Christmas and then go there and let the race and show begin.
Sebastian Loeb, are you impressed by the Audi? You saw it at the last Dakar. It is an impressive car. Yeah, it's impressive, and the technology is pretty revolutionary. It's a bit surprising at first, but you soon realise that using an electric motor has benefits when it comes to driving the wheels. They always have torque, so they don't struggle to change gears in the soft sand. Their car has advantages on certain types of terrain. And I think with the strength of the Audi group, they've done a lot of work on reliability, so I'm a bit worried that the car is going to be reliable as well. Put all of that together and they are going to be major rivals. I just hope it's a fair fight. We're all using different technologies. I'd say theirs is better on the sand, but in faster sections we've got a good car too. I hope it'll be balanced, that we'll all be up there and we can have a nice battle with 5 or more cars.
Matthias, you were talking about Stéphane Péterrossel, Carlos Sainz. What kind of relationship do you have with these legends of the Dakar?
Yeah, our relation is very good. I learn a lot from them, and especially in testing and the rallies, it's the best benchmark you can have. So if you look on the data and the times afterwards, it's sometimes easy to do in the timing, but it's much nicer to do when you can dig more in the detail to see where we are equally fast or losing time or sometimes a little bit faster. So also to share meetings, to hear the feedback from them, and also to be a part of the development and to listen to their experience. For me as a rookie, I would say it's a very, very lucky situation to have those 2 top guys as teammates, and then also to have a very experienced team with Sven and Audi, I know since long. So for me, it's a very, very good surrounding to be in. And I think that's also why it's easier to look good as a rookie when you have the perfect surrounding.
Charles, I'll come back to you now. Tell us about the field in the cars.
Ce plateau en auto.
Nearly 80 cars have entered, and 2/3 of them are 4-wheel drive. We have around 10 manufacturers, including the top 2 in the 2022 World Rally Road Championship, Toyota and BRX ProDrive, as well as Mini, Nissan, Ford, Audi with their new hybrid technology, and Chinese brand BAIC. There are 2 main manufacturers for the 2-wheel drive cars, Century with its CR6 and the Optimus buggies produced by the MD Rally team. They will be fighting with Mini, who won the Dakar in 2020 and 21. Thank you, Charles. Finally, the truck class, and the situation has completely changed.
The truck race is wide open, not the slightest former winner. The crown is up for grabs. 4th last year, Janus van Kasteren appears to be the race favourite in his Doroi Iveco truck, while his teammate, Victor Versteinen, is also in with a chance. In the same machine, but under different colours, the Van den Brinks, father and son, Martin and Mitchell, will be among the top contenders. A 11th of the last Dakar, Ben van der Laar and his brother Jan, sons of regretted Fried, can hope for a top 10 spot in their Iveco. Ever since his first Dakar, Martin Maciek has always had one objective: to conquer the crown. Second of the FIA T5 class at the World Rally Raid Championship, he has the tools to shine. Also from the Czech Republic, Alois Price in his Praga truck hopes to hit back after a disappointing last Dakar. He has already made it 4 times in the top 5, including a podium back in 2007. Thomas Vratny had a fine W2RC campaign, finishing 3rd of the championship. Now the goal is to shine on the toughest of all rallies. Winner of the FIA T5 class at the World Rally Raid Championship, Kees Koelen will hope to better his 13th spot of the last Dakar. And there's no stopping Team Hino and Teruhito Sugawara. With their revolutionary hybrid truck, the Japanese are aiming at another top 10 finish.
We are joined now by the man who came 5th in the trucks at last year's Dakar, Jannes van Kasteren of the Netherlands.
Kasteren, hello, welcome to Paris, Jannes. More than ever, you appear to be the favourites of the next Dakar?
Yes, I think after I finished after the 4 blue trucks last year, I'm one of the favourites, I think, yes, together with some other guys, of course.
What does a Dakar represent in your life? Is it something that you've followed for ages? I mean, as a Dutchman, trucks are important, we all know that.
Of course, you know the Roy family that made Dakar big in Netherlands. And then you I follow it since I was young, of course. And yeah, for me it's also connection with my father. My father always go with all my rallies. And this year he will participate in the classic rally as well. So yeah, it's like a red line in my life.
And Jannes, the dream, I suppose, the goal, the dream is to win the Dakar.
Yes, it is. Since I was with the Mammoet team, the Renault team, I wish that I could win one stage. And after this year, I wish I can win the Dakar. And I'm maybe one of the favorites. Together with my teammates, there are some Czech really good drivers. So yeah, that's my goal this year.
How have you prepared for this Dakar? What have you changed, including on the Iveco truck?
We changed some major things on the chassis. We did more testing this year, so I drove 6-7 rallies this year, not only in the truck, also with the Arcane buggy. And we tried to get more power from the engine as well.
You mentioned a few of your rivals, but who will be your main rivals on this Dakar to come?
Of course, Martin Maciek. He's fast. Alois Price as well. They have a lot of experience.
Charles, a few
feeling fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know I ain't stressed. Work hard but do less. That's why I'm the best. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Full gas now. Scala.
Cap 235.
Good to be at Dakar.
A thrill for those who go, a dream for those at home. That emblematic sentence remains ever so present in the spirit of all those in love with the Dakar Rally. More than ever, the event gathers motorsport fanatics in a quest for adventure, speed and freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the presentation of the 2023 Dakar. Time has come to unveil the mysteries of the greatest rally raid in the world and present the brand new course of the 45th edition entirely in beautiful Saudi Arabia. And to start with, let me welcome the CEO of Amaury Sport Organisation, Yann Le Moener.
Good morning to all of you, and I'm very happy to be here today with you. First of all, I would like to thank His Excellency Prince Abdulaziz Ben Turki Al Faisal, Minister of Sports and President of the Saudi Olympic Committee, as well as Prince Khaled Ben Sultan Al Abdullah Al Faisal, President of the Saudi Motorsport Federation. I would like to thank them for their unfailing support to the Dakar project on the territory of the Saudi Kingdom. Our adventure this year will start with a real return to our roots. We are looking forward to meeting all of you at Sea Camp in a bivouac configuration as soon as you arrive on a magnificent site that would be ideal for the start of an edition that promises to be particularly challenging. During this first 3 editions, we have already been transported by the magnificence of incredible places such as those of Alula or Neom. But what awaits us this year is way above our expectation. Imagine the ocean, but an ocean of dunes. Welcome to the empty quarter. Very welcome to the empty quarter. You've been dreaming about it. It's coming this year, and with no doubt, this will be decisive for the final victory. While the evocation of the desert reminds us at the very origin of the Dakar Rally, this 4th edition of the rally will be resolutely turned toward the future and the evolution of our discipline. Firstly, with the confirmation full of promise of the World Rally Raid Championship 2023 under the guidance of the International Federation and their respective president of the FIA and FIM, Mohamed Ben Sulayem and Jorge Viegas. Dakar Rally will be again this year the first run with 2 novelties this year, with the Ruta 40 in Argentina and the Sonora Rally in Mexico, which will come to be added to the Rally of Morocco and the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. And finally, at last but not the least, by the strong objective to validate the energy transformation of the Dakar Rally, with the ambition for all professional teams and cars and trucks of moving forward to the zero emission. The arrival of Audi last year in electric motorization, the biofuel used by the buggy of ProDrive, the hydrogen project of GCK and Gossin, to speak only of those, shown us the way. And each manufacturer present on the Dakar is today at work to propose new, innovative and environmentally friendly solutions to ensure the future of our discipline. So many challenges that we will have the pleasure to share with you to the Dakar Future Conference during the race day on the Dakar. I now have the great pleasure to hand over to His Excellency, the Prince Khaled. A good presentation to all of you.
With great pride, today we unveil the route of the 4th edition of Dakar, Saudi Arabia, otherwise known as Dakar, Saudi Arabia 2023. It is the largest and most challenging competition in the world of motorsports, one in which the Kingdom continues to make history with. This is now our 4th year in a row hosting the Dakar Rally, which truly affirms the kingdom's leadership and capabilities in hosting some of the world's sporting events. It also unites the kingdom's rightful place on the world's sporting map as a leading home of motorsports. As mentioned today, we are glad to reveal the details of the route for Dakar, Saudi Arabia 2023. Preparations are already underway with all of the supporting authorities, ensuring another outstanding edition, one that reflects our ambitions and is in line with the transformational journey of the kingdom. Naturally, none of this would be possible without the unlimited support of the Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz, and the trust of the Saudi Minister of Sport, His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Aziz bin Turki Al Faisal. With great faith and determination, we look forward to writing a brand new chapter in Dakar's journey in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Looking ahead, we are working towards offering the best global stage for the most prestigious rally on the planet. After all, last year's edition, it became the largest in the history of the rally, witnessing strong competition across all categories. We promise this year's participants that even more challenges are in store for this upcoming edition. Challenges that will no doubt raise suspense level throughout their journey across the kingdom. I am deeply proud of this historic moment as we unveil a brand new route and welcome an exciting new adventure. As always, we look forward to welcoming you all once again to the kingdom. My best wishes and regards.
Un grand merci à Son Altesse Royale.
Thank you to His Royal Highness. The director of the Dakar, David Castera, has joined us. Hello, David. Dakar 2023 is ready, and the future of the rally is also taking shape, and that's what we're going to start with. Yes, we'll start with that because over the last 2 years, we've started a process of transforming the Dakar's energy use. We are lowering our emissions every year. Our first target is 2026, when all of the top competitors will be in low-emission vehicles. To achieve that, we'll use different solutions, including new sustainable fuels, which will help us to reduce CO2 emissions by over 80%. Those rules will apply to all of the Dakar vehicles in 2030. And even before that, we're seeing different projects. We're delighted to have Audi with us with their hybrid vehicle using these new fuels. Other projects are being developed with electric and hydrogen-powered trucks using batteries or direct injection systems. So lots of projects are popping up and making their way to the Dakar.
Vous en parliez justement, l'un de ces
One of the projects you mentioned is that of Audi Sport, and we are joined now by the managing director of Audi Sport, Rolf Mitchell.
Audi Sport, good morning and welcome to Paris, Rolf. Audi appeared on the Dakar last year. It was a first experience. Can you talk to us about the project and why the Dakar?
Well, for us, of course, Dakar is one of the toughest races in the world. And, you know, coming from motorsports, we're always a future lab. So we are the guys that test latest technologies under hardest conditions. And what better possibility than test it in Dakar?
4 stage wins, Matthias Ekström in the top 10. That's a massive satisfaction.
Definitely, because it was a future project, and taking 3 electric engines, one of them acting as an energy converter, and putting it into this prototype car. So therefore, for us, it was quite a success to reach the finish line, also to achieve some stage wins. But you need more experience, you need to go in the details, and this is what we did.
Now, could you give us an update on the vision and the general progress of the alternative energy program developed by Audi in Rally Raid since your arrival on the Dakar last January?
Of course, we got to analyze the whole process, and we want to have a more holistic approach. So to this year, we also switched to the advanced sustainable fuels, which means also further CO2 reduction possibility, about 60%. And this is why we're continuing this path in coming together with performance and efficiency. And this is what makes, at the end, the next step.
So maybe it's a secret, but what are the technical evolutions that we might see on the car for the next Dakar?
I think it's quite obviously because, the first generation was a bit too overweight, so we had to save dozens of kilograms. So obviously the most visible thing is a completely reworked bodyworks. So for me, or for us, it's really like a race car for the desert now. We've improved also the efficiency of the car by reducing the total drag by about 15%. And of course, also the operational modes were improved, were optimized. So we had a lot of feedback about 3 drivers. And for us, the most important thing was to really use that feedback and taking this over and doing some steps further on with our engineers and technicians from Audi Sport and Q Motorsport.
The question is obvious. What is the objective for the Dakar to come and the season to come?
Well, Audi Sport wouldn't compete in a race just to be part. So for us, achieving the podium is definitely the goal. And of course, you need that bit of luck.
And you have certainly 3 very hungry drivers in Stéphane Peterhansel, Carlos Sainz, and Matthias Ekström. Well, thank you very much to Rolf Mitchell of Audi Sport for coming to Paris. All the best for the Dakar and all the best for Audi's projects to come in the seasons and the years to come.
It's now time to focus on the route of Dakar 2023. David Castera, you've just come back from Saudi Arabia after several weeks of reconnaissance, an essential job to make the competitors happy. Let's take a look at how the Dakar team created this upcoming edition.
October 27th, 1522. Bells ring out in the distance and break the constant murmur of the early morning sea. The sails are up, the last of the crates have been loaded. We are finally ready for our great voyage. As the light from the lighthouse fades, the cries of the crowd mix with the sound of the waves breaking on the hull. The sea draws us in, guiding us to lands that are known, but where the unknown can arise at any time. In the evening, only the creaks of the boat bring us back to ourselves. Each sailor stares at the horizon, seeking to know what lies beyond the frontiers of our known world. Cartographers redraw the world. Our seemingly limitless lust for discovery makes our Earth more and more familiar. November 25th, 1522. We have seen the limits of our civilization fall. The captain ordered us to head due south, towards the empty quarter. December 3rd, 1522. On the bridge, the captain and his men try to master the impregnable by hastily sketching the outline of a route meant to save us from the whims of the ocean. The repeated pounding of the waves leads to its fair share of damage. Helping one another has become the crew's only lifeline to defend against all the adversity that befalls us. January 2nd, 1523. The stormy sea has given way to a flat expanse. At night, only the light of our torches pierces the darkness all around us. One sailor talks of aquatic beings slowly drawing closer to the ship, while another recounts the tale of an ancient expedition lost for eternity. There is no time even to surrender to madness, because reality soon catches hold of us again to unleash its hell. Our ship floats endlessly on. Where will it stop? January 3rd, 1523. When I wake up, all is debris and dust. Our captain decides to seek help from a ship that has remained far behind us. There is no longer any sun. Just this fire to bring us warmth now. To sleep would be to condemn ourselves to drift for eternity. Like this forgotten expedition. Who would have believed we would be saved from this madness? Our ship has set off again, carried by the surf, the winds, and our hope, both now rediscovered. The first birds fly overhead, suggesting the end of our odyssey is near. These final words complete our story. None of us will ever forget the achievements of this expedition, sailing from coast to coast through an ocean of sand.
Alors, nous ont rejoint pour évoquer le Dakar.
We now welcome two guests to talk about Dakar 2022 and the route for 23. The winner of last year's Dakar and newly crowned FIA World Rally Raid champion, hello to Mathieu Baumel, the co-driver of Nasser Al-Attiyah, and a young woman who impressed on two wheels for many years before switching to cars last year, Laia Sanz. Welcome to Paris.
Bienvenue à Paris. Et on va commencer par vous, Laia.
We'll start with you, Laia. Last year you had your first experience in a car after so many years on a bike. Tell us about this new experience on the Dakar.
Pues fue una aventura, la verdad que tenía muchas ganas de.
Well, it was an adventure. I was very excited to switch to four wheels. It was complicated because during the first week we lost a lot of time and the race became very different. But I believe we still accomplished our goal, and that was to reach the finish line. I learned a lot. And I'm looking forward to this year because with the experience of last year, when I switched to the cars, I believe that I can achieve better things.
Creo que lo podemos hacer bastante mejor que el año pasado.
Any regrets about leaving the bikes?
A veces echa de menos.
Sometimes I have a few. I'll always be a biker, and I miss it a lot. Last year I would see my fellow riders and I would wish I was riding too. But I think it was a natural change for a Dakar competitor. I competed on a bike for many years and I would say I achieved my goals far better than I could have dreamt of. It was time to switch. I'm looking forward to learning in cars, to improving. I'm on a good path and I'm excited to carry on. Mathieu Baumel, last January you won your third Dakar with Nasser Al-Attiyah. How did that victory taste? It was a beautiful victory, mainly for Nasser because coming from Qatar and winning in the Middle East meant a great deal to him. We worked hard with the whole team to get that result, and everybody was very happy.
On va se tourner vers vous, David Castera, pour.
I'll now turn to you, David Castera, to talk about the next Dakar, the 45th edition. What is the guiding philosophy of this edition, and what's on the menu in 2023? Well, as soon as Dakar 2022 finished, we had a lot of discussions with competitors, and they said to me, David, we want more difficulties, more dunes, and a longer rally. So that's the plan for this year, with 14 stages, longer specials, and a big finish in terms of dunes in the empty quarter. A lot of ingredients that will make the whole event more challenging.
Je vous propose tout de suite de découvrir.
Let's now discover the route of Dakar 2023.
Voici donc pour ce parcours du Dakar.
So there you have it, the course of Dakar 2023. One prologue, 14 stages and one rest day. David, well, let's start at the beginning with this huge new bivouac on the shores of the Red Sea. Yes, indeed, and we're calling it the Sea Camp. An enormous bivouac and a bit more comfortable than what we're used to on the rest of the rally. It will host the competitors for 4 days before the start, with scrutineering on December 29th and 30th. The prologue is on the 31st, before stage 1 on the morning of January the 1st. I've heard the bivouac even has pétanque courts. Yes, pétanque, a football pitch, table football, a bit of everything. We're going to be there for 4 days, and the teams will be busy, yes, but not all the time. So we wanted a more convivial bivouac, something very different. We've built a kind of small town by the Red Sea, and it's a return to our roots going straight into a bivouac like this. It's a beautiful place to start the rally. And it's from the Sea Camp that the Dakar will set off on December the 31st with a proper prologue. Yes, a 10-kilometre prologue that starts just behind the bivouac and finishes inside it. It goes along the Red Sea coast, so it's going to be very beautiful with no real difficulty. The goal of the prologue is to determine the starting positions for stage 1, so it's important. The fastest finishers will be able to choose their starting positions. It's very strategic because of the navigation on this first stage, so it's a key moment for the competitors. Well, let's talk about the first stage, a loop around the Sea Camp. A loop of around 360 kilometres, so it's already a decent length. We wanted the navigation to be simple to get everyone up and running. So there isn't too much navigation, but it features every kind of terrain, rocks at the beginning, sandy sections, and dunes to finish. It's a nice warm-up with elements that we're going to see throughout the rally. Mathieu Baumel, strategically the prologue is very important for the first stage. You have to find your rhythm straight away. Exactly, and that's why we train all year long, so we can start at full throttle. As David said, the prologue is always very important. The better you do, the better your starting position. You can make big gains or big losses from the first stage, so it's crucial to be well placed. Moving on to the second stage between the Sea Camp and Al Ula. Well, Sea Camp to Al Ula is a rather unusual stage because there is hardly any sand, and that's very rare on this Dakar. We'll be on stony tracks, quite narrow at times, so overtaking won't be easy. It's going to catch some people out. There will be dust and rocks, so the risk of punctures throughout the day. And it's a pretty long one, covering almost 400 kilometres, so things are already going to be tough for the competitors. The next day will be absolutely spectacular between Al Ula and Khael on stage 3. Yes, the first 50 kilometres will be absolutely magical, magnificent. But they'll have to be focused on the road book because we're going to start making the navigation harder with some really tricky sections. We know all about Saudi Arabia and its meandering tracks, so everyone will have to pay close attention. We'll be in the open desert, it'll be easy to overtake, it'll be fast, technical, with a bit of everything. A very nice stage of this Dakar. Mathieu, the navigation starts in earnest on this third stage. A bit of a nightmare for you, perhaps. What's it like to navigate in Saudi Arabia compared to, for example, South America or Africa? It's much harder because there are fewer visual cues and clearly marked tracks. There are many possible choices, and the road book only gives you the average direction with an average cap to follow. You often find yourself on a parallel track which isn't necessarily the right one, and you have to constantly readjust. This sort of stage can be a co-driver's nightmare, but I have to admit that I enjoy it too, so it should be a good start to the rally. Behind us we can see your new car here, Laia. Let's talk about it. Last year you were driving a Mini, and now it's a two-wheel drive buggy made by Century. Tell us about this project. For me, the goal this year is to improve, to to take a step forward. It's not easy to get hold of a T1 Plus, which is surely the best and most competitive kind of car at the Dakar. But this car is still a big step forward from last year. The driving style is very different, especially in the dunes. And that is perhaps what scares me the most. But I have to say, in testing, it has gone very well in the dunes. It's also a matter of changing my mentality and tackling them a bit differently. But I think we have a much more competitive package than last year. And yes, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very excited about driving this car, and I was pleasantly surprised when I tested it.
On parlera des objectifs tout à l'heure.
We'll talk a bit about goals later. Back to you now, David, for stage 4, with mountains to climb around Jael. Yes, mountains of sand, so it won't be easy. We have been in this area before, but we're going in the other direction, and there are some big sand mountains to climb. It may take the riders and drivers time to find the right path and get back on track. The first 100 kilometers aren't easy. There will then be some very nice sections in the middle of the special with lots of rocks and some navigation. We will round out with a much flatter and faster desert section. But again, it's a loop of 426 kilometers around Jael. Stage 5, the going gets tough on a second loop around Jael. Loop 2 is a bit shorter, 374k, but it's only sand, sand, sand. Not only dunes, but sandy tracks in the large sandy areas that surround Jael. Well, earlier, David, we talked about the beauty of the landscapes, so I have a question for Mathieu and Laia. Do you ever have time to appreciate these landscapes in Saudi Arabia?
Well, you
kind of have to, because to find the right route you have to be looking around. But we're obviously very focused on the GPS and the roadbook. I do try to sneak a peek, though. It's so beautiful in this region that you have to try to enjoy it. I think that on a bike you can see more because you have more visibility and it's easier to see the landscapes. In my many Dakars, there have always been places I thought I'd like to come back here outside of competition to really enjoy it. Sometimes you get a shock when you watch the television highlights. You see things you didn't notice during the Dakar. You didn't realize this place was so beautiful and so spectacular. We are very lucky to see everything that we see. We push on towards the south with the longest stage to Al Duwadimi. Yes, a long stage, over 850 kilometers in total, with 470 k's of special. There will be 2 distinct parts. The start is pretty fast over some big plateaus between the dunes, and the final part is much sandier with lots of dune crossings. It is going to be a long outing to Al Duwadimi. On stage 7, we stay in the area around Al Duwadimi. Yes, an even harder special. I would describe this one as very complete, with all types of terrain. We'll start in small canyons with stony tracks before hitting the dunes in the desert and finishing with more stones. It's another loop, a very beautiful stage. At 473 kilometers, it's the longest special of the rally, and I really think the gaps will open up on this stage. An extremely long and demanding first week ends with stage 8 between Al Duwadimi and Riyadh. Yes, 8 stages before the rest day. Another stage here of more than 400 kilometers, 407 to be precise. The first part will be in sandy canyons with some very nice tracks at the start of the special, and then a slightly different finish. Broken terrain, very tricky. It's a bit like Morocco. So everybody is going to have to be very careful to make it safely through to the rest day in Riyadh. Mathieu, I haven't seen you taking any notes. 8 stages, though, before the rest day. You're going to need some stamina. Yeah, we'll have to be resilient, we'll have to perform well and keep our focus. It's going to be a very demanding first week, and I'm sure a lot will happen. We talked about it earlier. From the very start, we're going to have to try to gain precious seconds or minutes to help our strategy later in the rally, but it's going to be difficult. Laia, what's your objective for Dakar 2023? What would be a good result?
No es fácil por el supernivel.
It's not easy because the level in the cars is so high. But the goal is always to improve, of course. Last year I was 23rd, so I don't know. Maybe try to break into the top 15. I know it's very difficult, but I do feel like I've made a step up since last year, both in terms of my driving and the car. So we'll try our best. The Dakar is an adventure that's been going on for more than 45 years, but for the past 2 years, it has also paid tribute to the pioneers of the rally. I'm referring, of course, to the Dakar Classic.
Il n'y a pas de mots, c'est mythique, et aussi bien de l'extérieur que de l'intérieur. Qu'elle pourrait encore participer au Dakar normal et puis faire de l'ombre à pas mal d'autres véhicules qui sont vachement plus récents. C'est une aventure humaine, c'est un dépassement de soi, et on a la chance, en plus de ça, d'avoir un véhicule mythique qui a fait rêver du plus ancien au plus jeune et qui fait toujours rêver. Tout le monde nous prend en photo, on passe n'importe où, tout le monde tourne la tête, c'est vraiment exceptionnel. Même nous, on ne s'attendait pas à ça. On se prend pour des stars, mais c'est pas nous la star, c'est elle.
Nous, quand on était jeunes, c'était le Paris-Dakar, ça nous a tout le temps fait rêver. Et ici, l'opportunité du Dakar classique, c'est de venir avec ces voitures un petit peu historiques. Et nous, avec notre petite infrastructure, de pouvoir participer à ce grand événement. On n'aurait jamais cru que ça allait être une aventure aussi intense du début jusqu'à la fin. Ben, déjà, c'est déjà une expérience humaine parce que dans le cockpit, il y a des fois, ça chauffe un petit peu. Mais c'est le copilote qui décide dans la voiture où il faut aller et tout ça. Moi, j'ai qu'à suivre et à conduire.
And everyone said it's amazing that we can drive there because everyone's driving 4x4. And we managed to get everywhere we wanted. With this car.
It's a really amazing car. It amazes me still how we can, sometimes people cannot understand how we did that road, you know. When we are at the finish, how did you do it? It's impossible with a car like that. And I said, we're here.
To talk about the Dakar Classic, we welcome Mathieu Abrial, who'll be driving a beauty from 1984, Philippe Van Berg's Citroën Visa, and also Adrian van Beveren, fourth on a Yamaha last year, and now with Honda. We'll be talking a little bit about that later on. So, Mathieu Abrial, tell us about this Citroën Visa that you'll be driving on the next Dakar Classic. Well, it's a car with a beautiful story. In 1984, it was on the Dakar. Yes, we're going to see some footage. It was entered by the Citroën team with their test driver at the time, Philippe Van Berg, and he drove the car to a brilliant 6th place. We're now seeing some great images of that rally here. And we wanted to recapture the spirit of that era, so we contacted Philippe Van Berg and Michel Perrin to get their input on the car that we were building. And by all accounts, it's a great vehicle. Was the Dakar a dream for you?
Ouais, c'est quelque chose qui, étant pas.
Well, I'm not a professional driver, so it was very hard to compete at the required level for Dakar. But the Classic is a sort of compromise that allows less experienced people to get involved without taking huge risks.
De s'engager tout en conservant une gestion du risque qui est raisonnable.
David, you must be happy to see a youngster taking part in Dakar Classic. Yes, because people say it's for the old folk, but it's not. It's for people who are passionate about the Dakar, about adventure, about mechanics as well. That's what this experience is all about. And we're very happy because we have a lot of vehicles, a lot of people who are coming to enjoy this adventure.
Mathieu
Baumel, what do you make of this Citroën Visa? And what does the name Philippe Vanberg mean to you as a former co-driver from traditional rally? In fact, you still do it, don't you? Yes, I do.
L'histoire est belle de toute façon et c'est, je trouve.
It's a really nice story, and it's great to see these classic cars on a rally again, back in the desert. It helps to recreate a bit of Dakar history and channel the atmosphere of the early editions. It's fantastic to set up a project like this with a car that raced at the time, with a renowned driver at the wheel. It's great, and I think that Mathieu is going to have a ball in his Visa.
Adrien Van Beveren.
Adrien Van Beveren, you're obviously very focused on your rally, but do you ever have time to stroll around the bivouac and see these ancient wonders?
Ces merveilles d'antan.
Alors écoutez, c'est vrai que sur le Dakar,
on the Dakar, I have to be honest, not at all. We're focused on the race, we get up very early, we're busy all day long. But I will say that I'm passionate about cars, and I actually bought myself a Visa, not the same one, but I bought a Visa to have some fun on the trails after one of my first wins at the Enduro de Touquet. Mathieu Abrial, is the Dakar a family affair for you? Yes, because we're entering two vehicles, two identical Visas. One is a Chrono and one is a Group B, but they're both Visas. The other one will be driven by my father, who got me into motorsports and regularity rallies a few years ago. Are you at all apprehensive about driving a 1984 Visa in the Saudi desert?
Le désert saoudien.
Well, yes, because to begin with, it's two-wheel drive, and that's not the biggest advantage. But it's a very light car. Then again, we have a fairly limited experience of driving on sand because we've mostly done regularity rallies on the road. So it's going to be a real challenge, but we're ready for it. There's a sporting aspect, of course, but I imagine that for you, the Dakar is also about sharing this experience, meeting other enthusiasts on the bivouac. Absolutely, we've already seen how much people like this car. The Visa is the equivalent of the modern-day Clio, so lots of people have driven it, they like it, and that has enabled us to meet a lot of people. We've been surprised by the support we've had at some of our rallies. And I understand that in Dakar Classic, the competitors really help each other out. Yesterday, we spoke to some people who were doing Dakar Classic in a truck, and they said that they would get us out if we got stuck in the sand, and that's sure to happen. David, can you give us some more information about the Dakar Classic in 2023? Well, first of all, it's not about speed. It's a regularity rally, so you have to respect averages that change a lot during the stage. That's the first thing. We've also added a trophy for what we're calling the Iconic Classic Club. We want to recognise the cars that actually raced in the past, because lots of them are copies. So there's a challenge for the genuine classics with a prize, and for the co-drivers, because it's not as easy as you might think to respect those averages. Some of them managed to get it just right to the second, which is pretty incredible. There are people who are here to have fun while others are fighting to be in front. We've also added some dunes. We were asked for more sand. The Visa may struggle a little bit, I'm sorry about that, but we have added sand to increase the challenge. Last year we added sections of navigation, and this year we're adding some little tests in the dunes. So it should spice up the adventure a bit. There will also be two beautiful stages with marathon bivouacs to get back to the Dakar's route with these amazing vehicles in the desert. You'll have a bivouac all to yourselves so you can discuss your adventures. Well, thank you, David, and many thanks to Mathieu Abrial. We have a small surprise to finish, a message from the ambassador of Dakar Classic 2023, Jackie X, winner of Dakar 1983, a six-time winner of the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Good evening to all of you. My name is Jackie X. I'm so happy to say that I will join you for almost the distance of the Paris-Dakar and the classic Dakar. We are animated by the same passion, and of course being next to you and sharing these moments of sport, hard sport, and also the discovery of Saudi Arabia, it's something just fantastic. Yes, the Dakar is an adventure, and we will share it together.
We now welcome Sébastien Loeb, second at the last Dakar in his BMX Hunter, and Alexandre Giroux, the winner of Dakar 2022 in the quads, your first title. Sébastien, let's talk about 2022. You had an excellent rally with second place, but there was a little something missing.
Ouais, il a manqué un petit quelque chose.
Yes, a little something missing. We had a small technical problem quite early in the rally, so we fell behind. And then we just kept plugging away behind Nasser and Mathieu, who did a fantastic job. They have a lot of experience and they had enough of a gap to race cleanly, which is exactly what they did. They didn't make any big mistakes throughout the rally. We worked hard and we finished second, which isn't bad. That is a good result. Second in the Dakar, so we can't be too disappointed, but it looked like it was going to be a great battle. We kept pushing until the end, but it wasn't quite enough. Alexandre, it was 11 months ago. What are your memories of your first victory? Well, not many people can say they've won the Dakar, so I'm happy to have done it. I've got great memories of the battles along the way, resulting in my victory. It was huge. 11 months ago, but it feels like yesterday. It was cool. And an emotional victory as well. Absolutely, the Giroux name has become familiar on the Dakar, and it was really cool to win 25 years after my father managed to finish the Dakar also on a quad. It was a good comeback for me and a nice tribute for him. Before we talk about the rest of the route, Adrien, what are your thoughts on this first week? 8 stages and a prologue. That's a lot before the rest day. Well, I feel like this whole Dakar is going to be long and hard. There are more kilometres to cover, more stages, longer stages, so we'll have to be focused all the time. I think this Dakar is going to be about avoiding big mistakes rather than trying to go very, very fast. In the bikes, there are lots of guys who can win and the pace is super high. So you have to find the balance between going fast and avoiding those mistakes. And that's all that we're trying to do. We'll come back to the bikes later. David, we move on to the second week after the rest day in Riyadh. We're really getting into the heart of this Dakar.
Du cœur du Dakar.
Exactement, on va repartir tout de suite sur le
Exactly, we pick up where we left off with 439 kilometres on stage 9, which starts with rocky tracks and riverbeds. It will get a bit faster and we'll cross another erg as final preparation for heading into the empty quarter. And we'll be really going into the empty quarter on stage 10, heading to Shaiba.
Voilà, là c'est parti. On va donc d'abord.
Yes, here we go. There's a long liaison, so it's going to be a very early start. The first bike will go at 3:30 a.m. In sporting terms, the road to the empty quarter isn't very interesting, so we've chosen to put in a long liaison. We start with a short special in the dunes, 120-30 kilometres of sand, setting things up for the famous marathon stage, which will take us to the heart of the empty quarter. Mathieu Baumel, you had a taste of the empty quarter in 2020. Did it make an impression? Yeah, it's always something to enter a chain of dunes, whatever they're like and wherever you are. But it's true that we've been waiting a while for beautiful dunes like this on the Dakar in Saudi Arabia. We'll have 4 amazing days with real dunes, so we can't wait. This is what Nasser dreams about at night. Sébastien Loeb, I don't know if you also dream about this at night, but what does the empty quarter mean for you, these 4 days with nothing but dunes? Well, I don't like that Nasser is dreaming about it at night at first. But driving in the dunes is extraordinary with the cars that we have today. It's fantastic. I think that, like Adrien said, the whole Dakar is going to be tough. We've got long stages, and in the dunes they feel even longer because you have to be so focused and you're obviously not going as fast. So we'll have some long days. We'll have a lot of fun, but it's not going to be easy. We'll have to be very focused, avoid mistakes, try not to get stuck. It'll be tough. The marathon stage returns. David, it's a Dakar tradition. So let's move on to stages 11 and 12, starting with 11. Stage 11 is the biggest day in the empty quarter, 280 kilometers of pure dunes. And just to explain what it's like in the empty quarter, there are chains of dunes separated by small chots, salt lakes, and they're surrounded themselves by dunes. So we'll be going from chot to chot, crossing the dunes all day long. Some dune sections are 10 kilometers, others are shorter. It varies all the time. It'll be a long day because the average speeds won't be high. Instead of going at 70, 80, 90, it'll be more like going at 40 to 60 max. So a much longer day to reach the marathon bivouac, which is quite old school. It's back to basics with just a camp to eat and rest. Everybody will be sleeping in their own tent before returning to Shaiba the next day. Adrian van Beveren, how do you manage a marathon stage? But I'd say that I manage it a bit like any other stage. In Rally Raid, and especially the Dakar, it's so long that you always have to be focused, and even more so on a marathon stage. But when you're riding on sand, as we will be doing in this year's marathon stage, you don't need to manage the tyres so much or the way you attack. When you have a marathon stage on rocky tracks, 2 stages without changing the tyres, then you have to manage more. So I think we'll be able to approach this year's marathon stage a bit like a normal stage, except at the finish. The main thing is to avoid crashing and damaging the bike, because we know we don't have any spare parts. It's easy enough to damage a roadbook tower and then pay a heavy price for it. Alexandre, you also have to think about your tyres in the quads. Are you afraid of marathon stages? No, not really. As Adrian said, you have to stay focused. A fall can have major consequences. But personally, I'm looking forward to it. I did my first 2 Dakars without a mechanic, so it brings back good memories. But you have to manage. It's not easy in the quads because it's always a very close battle like in the bikes. The fight is always on, even in marathon stages. You have to be able to ride with your head, especially on days like this. David, the next stage, round 2, heading back to Shaiba. Yes, with lots more dunes on the menu. It's around 100 kilometers shorter, with more or less the same profile. But it's different though, because there are some big dune descents from the previous day that we're not going to be able to climb. The landscape will be different because we'll be going in the opposite direction. The riders and drivers have to get back to Shaiba to finish this marathon stage. The next day will be the potentially decisive 13th stage between Shaiba and Al Hafuf. The liaison comes after the special to keep the action close to the dunes, around 150k in the dunes before a long road section to Al Hafuf, which is close to Dammam. And then the final stage of Dakar 2023 between Al Hafuf and Dammam on the Persian Gulf. Yes, our coast-to-coast Dakar ends with a very simple stage, a beautiful one along the seaside. No real difficulty, so completing the stage should be a formality. And finishing by the sea is a throwback to finishes on the shores of the Pink Lake. It's a nod to Dakar history. It's a beautiful spot for the finish, and then the podium ceremony to celebrate all our heroes. Sebastian Loeb, what do you make of this tough route? 14 stages, a prologue and a marathon stage.
Well,
if I've understood correctly, we no longer have the neutralisation, is that right? So we'll be doing the specials in one go, and that changes quite a lot because we don't have information in the car. Before, in the neutral zone, you could see if you were in front or behind, and you could kind of adjust your pace for the second part of the stage. Now we'll be driving 400, 500 kilometres without any information. So you've got to keep your concentration for 4 or 5 hours because there's no time to rest. and you've got no info about how the race is going. So finding the right pace is going to be tough. It's 14 stages, it's very long, a proper endurance rally. We'll need to find the right pace to make it to the finish with as few mistakes as possible. A word about BRX and your Hunter. It feels like this experience is really paying off. Yeah, the car's in good shape, it's nice to drive, it's well balanced. Overall, it's working well. The engine, the suspension, everything. We have gradually improved reliability, even if we're always finding little things. In Morocco, for example, I was stopped because of a small power steering tube that had cracked over time. So I just hope that we've managed to sort out all those little details. But it's kind of normal. This is only our third year, and the Dakar is very, very difficult. Rally raid is very difficult for these cars. The team has been learning about the discipline in recent years, so there were always going to be minor weaknesses. But generally, things are going well with the car, and I hope that we'll just make it through. And what do you still need to beat Nasser Al-Attiyah? Not much. We have the pace. Nasser and Mathieu are very strong because they're a complete crew. They've been working together for years. They know each other inside out. Nasser was born in the desert. He has a huge amount of experience in rally raid, and so does Mathieu. I don't have that experience. I do have the necessary pace to compete with them. But we sometimes make little mistakes here and there. It's hard to match their consistency on such long rallies. David Castera, can you give us some key figures of this Dakar 2023 route? 14 stages, as we've seen, lots of specials of over 400 kilometres for a total of almost 5,000 competitive kilometres. It's been a long time since we covered that much ground, 4,704 exactly. So endurance is going to be key. There are some great stages, and it's going to be a tough rally. Before focusing on the competitors of Dakar 2023, let's hear from last year's winner in the bikes, Sam Sunderland.
I won the first one in 17, and then it took me 5 years to win again, so wasn't easy, but you know, it's so hard to win any rally now. It's even more a Dakar because there's so many fast guys and there's like so many factors involved to win. You need to be really fast, you need to navigate perfectly. It's like a huge package that you need to put together, and then you can still not win, you know, like it takes 10,000 kilometers to win one and you can lose everything in 5 meters. So it's like, it's really not easy to put one finger on what makes you win or not.
Let's talk about the competitors of this 45th edition as we welcome Charles Kuipers, head of the competitors department, and Matthias Ekstrom, who drives for Audi.
Welcome to Paris, Matthias. First of all, a word with you on the menu for 2023. You saw the course. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I've seen the first part of the rally. It looks to be in the areas where I have some experience, but when it comes down in the empty quarter and there is only sand, that's a new region for me. So I think that will be very exciting, and also with the marathon day there to have the toughest challenge of the rally, I would say, for us will be in that part. But anyway, starting off at high will be a good warm-up in that region in the north for us.
Are you loving it? Because you come from a different environment. Are you loving the Dakar?
Yeah, the picture behind you, I think, is one of the things that we all love. Especially me, who haven't been here so long, to learn to drive in the dunes, to be in the sandy tracks, and also the challenge with difficult navigation. I know some drivers think that the navigation is sometimes too difficult, but I also start to enjoy that this sport is a lot more than only driving. You have to use your brain, you have to sometimes be calm, smart. Someday you have to be pushing a lot, it's very simple road. So the mixture of it all, I think it was what makes this sport so unique. And once I start to understand, I also see the challenge, and you also have to be very humble and see you have to collect the experience to be a, regular front runner.
Charles Kuipers, a few figures to start with on the number of entrants for this 45th edition. 465 vehicles will be competing in this new coast-to-coast edition. Over 370 will take part in the Dakar, with just under 100 in Dakar Classic. We have 855 riders, drivers and co-drivers from 54 countries. Like last year, the three most represented nations are France, Spain and the Netherlands. We have around 100 legends who have done more than 10 Dakars. And this year, 170 rookies will be discovering the Dakar for the first time. Finally, there will be 21 women, including 4 all-female crews. We're going to start with the bikes, and these are the riders in contention for overall victory.
6 factory teams, 5 former Dakar champions. The battle on 2 wheels promises to be spectacular once again. Recently crowned World Rally Raid champion Sam Sunderland will be defending the Dakar title he conquered with his Gas. His main rival could well be his promising teammate, Australia's Daniel Sanders. KTM Factory Racing lines up a squad of former Dakar winners, Kevin Benavides, Toby Price and Matthias Wagner. 4 crowns between the 3 of them. Team Honda wants revenge. After 2 consecutive wins, the Japanese brands lost the title. A newcomer in the team, Adrien van Beveren, dreams of a first success. He'll be riding alongside Ricky Brayback, Pablo Quintanilla and Juan Ignacio Cornejo. Also on a Honda, but in his own structure, Joan Barreda returns with the goal to reach the podium at last. With Argentina's Luciano Benavides and USA's Skyler House, Husqvarna hopes to conquer stages and why not a spot on the final podium. Sherco carries on growing. The French squad will again be counting on the experience of Lorenzo Santolino and the speed of Rui Gonçalves. Indian factory team Hero has high ambitions. The Kalahari Ferrari Ross Branch joins the team alongside experienced Joaquim Rodriguez and Franco Caimi. The goal to at least enter the top 10. Finally, all eyes will be on the young guns from Team Bass Dakar and especially Mason Klein, best rookie last year when he finished 9th of his first Dakar.
Adrien van Beveren, you've changed teams this year. Tell us about your decision to join Honda.
Écoutez, c'est vrai que on a fait déjà un super.
I had a great run with Yamaha. I was there for 14 years. They brought me into Rally Raid and they helped me to discover this discipline. But now I'm really happy to be riding on this bike with this team. Honda is 100% a factory team. They start with a blank page and they develop a bike that is purely for Rally Raid.
Je vous avoue que c'est en tant que pilote aussi.
As a rider, getting a chance to join HRC is really special. So I'm very happy. It's a new challenge. I feel a bit like a junior again. And I'm really enjoying myself on this bike. I find it stable, efficient. From my very first minutes on the bike, I adapted to it very quickly. The team in Japan have also done what they can to adapt it to my expectations, and so far it's going really well. So we'll keep that same mentality. I know that lots can happen on a Dakar, so we'll have to be solid throughout. As David said, it'll be one of the longest recent editions, so we'll try to be consistent.
I
have a lot of desire. I want to enjoy myself, but I also have experience. I've had accidents and I've had some tough moments on the Dakar, but good moments too. I've been capable of winning the Dakar several times, but I've actually never finished on the podium. So a first podium finish would be a very nice step in my life and my career. Once again, the field is stacked with lots of guys who can win. It's great for the sport. Yeah, the level is super high, and it makes the rally really interesting, both for the fans and for us. As a rider, it can be stressful, but also the fact that there are so many contenders means that you're not just focused on one guy. You're not thinking, I have to beat him, and how many minutes did I lose to him today? It changes every day with different names moving up or dropping back. I think you just have to focus on yourself, on your rally. The Dakar will be very long, and you have to respect it from start to finish. So I'm going in with that mentality.
C'est dans cet état d'esprit-là que j'y vais.
Charles Coopers, as well as the top guys, there are plenty of interesting riders to keep an eye on. Yes, indeed. Of the 145 bikes and quads selected this year, over one-third are rookies. We'll have a new generation of riders under 25 in the Rally 2 class, with guys like Romain Dumontier and Konrad Dabrowski, who starred at this year's World Championship. The Dakar will also be welcoming a former Enduro world champion from Italy, Alex Salvini, who's riding for Fantic. We also have a new manufacturer, and that's big news. Kove Moto from China. They have entered 3 riders who have performed well on the Taklamakan Rally. And finally, there will only be 3 women in the bikes this year: Miriam Pohl, Sandra Gomez and Kirsten Landman. Another class that continues to enthrall and to attract new entrants is Original by Natul, for those who do the Dakar without any assistance.
Sans aucune assistance.
Malamoto is, to me, the essence of what Dakar is. People are tired, and you get that full experience of what Dakar is, what Rally Raid is, and what, you know, the people went through.
I can fix it and hope for the best.
You think you understand it until you're here, and then you really understand it.
We now welcome a young man who will discover the Dakar in Original by Motul. Welcome, James Hillier. David Castera, a word on this captivating class. It's a good entry point for bikers with smaller budgets, who don't have assistance, or riders who want to live the adventure without assistance. And it's thanks to Motul, who've been committed to the Dakar for several years now, and who will continue to support these riders in the coming years and editions. They provide a toolbox, they provide minor assistance, a bit of warmth and moral support in the evening when they talk to the riders, and of course they transport all the material. Motul really takes care of the originals for 2 weeks, and as I say, it's an important entry point, and always a special story on the Dakar.
First of all, James Hillier, can you talk to us about your past on a bike before the Dakar? How did it all start?
Well, I started riding at a young age of 6 with trials, and always had a hunger for the speed, and ended up working my way through and to race professionally at the Isle of Man TT, but I also remember from a young age watching the Dakar with my dad on Eurosport, and it stuck with me, really.
We see some footage of your performances at the Isle of Man TT. Everyone is impressed.
Yeah.
Are you a little bit crazy?
In some ways, yeah, I think. But also, I think to race here, you have to be quite clever and, you know, switched on. You wouldn't last long there if you were too crazy.
Adrien, are you impressed by the Isle of Man TT? Yeah, it's impressive. I was looking at the images there. I have a lot of respect for every competitor, but I have a huge amount of respect for these guys, for what they do. People say Rally Raid is a bit crazy, and I think what they do on the Isle of Man is quite similar. We ride while looking at a road book on tracks that we don't know, and we have to trust the road book and go flat out when we don't know what's coming up. The road book doesn't indicate any dangers. If you want to do well at the Dakar, you have to be okay with going full gas all the time. What they do is different, yes, because they recce the course, but they're still going flat out on roads that aren't really made for high speed. They always have to adapt. It's all about adapting permanently.
So to the Dakar, why the Dakar and why original by Motul?
I think because it's the toughest, the biggest, most incredible motorsport race, and especially off-road, is just something I really want to tick off and attempt. You know, I don't want to get old and wish I'd have tried. And the reason really for the Mali class is it's the entry level to get to Dakar for me. Originally we were planning to come with a team, but unfortunately the budget wasn't there. So this is for me is this way or no way. So I have to give it my best go in this class, and fingers crossed we can finish.
Adrien, do you admire these original by Motul riders? Could you ever be tempted to do it yourself? Good question. I'm drawn to a lot of challenges, but not necessarily this one. To answer your first question, I have a lot of admiration because when I finish a stage where I've given everything and I'm exhausted, I'm so happy to eat my bowl of pasta and have a shower, rest without thinking about my bike. So when I put myself in their shoes, they finish later because they start after us and they're going a bit slower. So they arrive in the dark and they don't have a camper van to eat and rest. They have to prepare their bike. For me, it's another rally, it's another philosophy, an adventure. I could do that sort of thing, prepare my bike and enjoy the adventure. But when you want to perform at the Dakar, it's different. For me, it's obvious that if you want to be up there, you need a team.
James, what worries you? What scares you about the Dakar in the original by Motul class?
Sleep. Maybe the lack of sleep is the top of my list, because normally I sleep quite a lot. That's going to be the toughest part for me. The riding, maybe I haven't thought too much about that. I'm not too worried about riding. It's just making sure I don't make mistakes. That's the biggest thing. You know, off the bike more so. I need to be starting every stage in the best way possible.
Charles,
any familiar names in original this year?
En original cette année.
Yes, some riders who often do well in this class, like Emmanuel Guienes and Benjamin Melo, who are both very experienced. We also have the former Sherco factory rider Joan Pedrero and the European Bajas champion Mario Petrao. 26 bikers and 2 quad riders will attempt to complete this Dakar without assistance.
Et alors, petite nouveauté.
And there are some changes to the rules this year as well.
Le règlement de la catégorie.
Tout à fait. Un pilote ayant terminé.
Yes, a biker who has finished in the top 3 of original by Motul, or in the top 30 of the Dakar overall in the last 5 editions, can join the original challenge, but they won't appear in the standings.
Ne figurera pas à son classement. Alors pourquoi? La raison est simple. L'idée de garder.
The idea is to preserve the spirit of the class and keep it for amateurs, whilst enabling professionals to get involved and pass on their experience. The pros will become ambassadors, supporting the amateurs who are fighting for the overall win.
Qui eux jouent le classement.
Let's talk about the quads now with you, Alexandre. There's a nice battle in prospect between you and Manuel Andujar. He won the Dakar a year before you did.
Les années avant la vôtre.
Can you tell us about the field and what we can expect? Well, absolutely. Manu and I have got to know each other pretty well now, and I won't lie, I feel like I'm going to have a target on my back. There are other top South American riders like Capetti and Enrico. They're used to the sand, they were born in the desert, and they're hungry for victory. Manuel and are perhaps a bit more than the rest, but there are lots of contenders. There are also strong Europeans and talented Frenchmen. I'm not underestimating anyone. I'll focus on my race, try to make as few mistakes as possible and enjoy myself. That's the best recipe for success. But there's a big field with riders who want to win. Not many of us have won it. In general, not many people win the Dakar. So the others have that desire and we want to defend our title. It'll be a big fight. Thank you, Alexandra. Now we move on to the T3 and T4 categories, the lightweight vehicles which are going from strength to strength.
The battle continues in the lightweight vehicles, the T3 and T4 classes. Two-time winner of the T3 class for prototypes, Chaleco Lopez is going for the treble in his Can-Am. The recent W2RC champion has a new teammate and rival in Cristina Gutierrez, third last year. Impressive when it came to stages, the Red Bull Off-Road Junior Team USA wants the big crown now. The squad lines up wonder kid Seth Quintero, but also last year's T4 champion Austin Jones. New colours for Guillaume de Mévius, fourth of the W2RC World Championship and winner of a first stage last year. He's hungry for more. On his rocky paths and in his dunes, Saleh Al Saif has home advantage. The Saudi wants to hit back after retiring from the previous edition. In the T4 class, there will be a new champion. Recently crowned FIA T4 World Champion Rokas Basiuska seems to be the man to beat. In his factory Can-Am, the Lithuanian who finished third last year wants to better his performance. The South Racing Can-Am team shows up with some strong contenders, including last year's runner-up Gerard Fares, but also Saudi's Yazir Saidan, now in T4, or Australia's Molly Taylor. And beware of the Goxal family. Marek finished fourth last year, just in front of Michal. They both want to reach the podium.
We are joined by the new World Rally Raid champion in the FIA T4 category. From Lithuania, hello to Rokas Basiuska. And also with us from his couch in California is Seth Quintero, winner of 12 stages at last year's Dakar in the T3s.
T3, hello Seth, and thanks for being with us for this Dakar presentation. A few words about your Dakars so far. 2 Dakars for you. Can we say that it's now become a part of your life?
Yeah, for sure. The past 2 years racing Dakar have been the most amazing adventures that really I could have ever asked for, and just the way that my family's come around to loving the race and the sport has been super awesome to watch. How supportive they are of not just me but other drivers. So yeah, I can definitely say that Dakar has become a large part of my family life as well.
What memories do you keep from the last edition in Saudi Arabia with so many stage victories?
Man, I mean, the last year was probably one of the most heartbreaking and rewarding years that I could have ever asked for. Winning every stage but one was amazing, but also definitely defeating, just because, getting that time penalty and not being able to win the overall. But, obviously getting to that finish line on the final day, with going through most of the rally without not too many issues and kind of having mostly a clean rally, getting to the finish line and seeing everybody there and seeing the whole team there and how happy they were. It's that means a lot more to me than, a lot of these stage victories is coming back to the bivouac and seeing how happy the team is or how proud I made them. So I think that's what's going to stick with me for a while.
Is the idea for the future to be more consistent and maybe less focused on stages?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going to be more focused on getting to the finish line every day, not necessarily, winning stages. I feel like I've matured a lot as a driver since, Dakar over the year and going through, Andalusia and Morocco and Abu Dhabi, just kind of going through the whole season, which was awesome. Had an awesome season, but I felt myself getting a lot more consistent by the end of the year and worrying a lot less about where I am, on, winning the stage and more on the overall. So a lot's changed for me over the past year, a lot of driving, a lot of racing. So I'm feeling very prepared coming to Dakar this year, and I'm super excited.
The goal is to win the Dakar, to beat the likes of Chaleco Lopez or Austin Jones.
Yeah, exactly. We've broke a few records now, and I want to break the record to be the youngest to ever win this rally. I think that would be it's quite the feat, obviously, but I think it's very possible with what's going on behind me and the people that are backing me. So it's going to be a fun battle. Chaleco's always hard to beat because he's so consistent. Austin's super fast. He's also super consistent. So it's going to be a battle at the end, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Seth, the final question. Your near future is in the T3 class, but can we imagine seeing you in a T1 car in the future on the Dakar?
Yeah, I got to keep that a secret. Obviously, I definitely want to be stepping up to T1 here very soon. We've put in our time and hours in the T3 class and had some great success, and I feel like I've gotten to the point where I've proved myself enough in the T3 category to be able to step away from it. That was one thing that I wanted to do before I stepped away, is I wanted to make sure that I proved to not only myself but to other people that I'm capable of doing this, and I want to be here for a long time. I mean, I'm only 20 years old. I got a lot of racing left in me, so yeah, I think hopefully within the next couple of years, maybe a year, you never know, hop in a T1 Plus, and go have some fun. Don't know what team yet, don't know what I'm driving yet, but I think T1 is definitely my near future.
Well, thank you very much to Seth Quintero from California. You can now return to bed, and thanks so much for being with us for this Dakar presentation.
Charles, a word on the T3 class? There are nearly 50 entrants in T3, with quite a few former bike and quad riders. Ignacio Casale, a three-time Dakar winner in the quads, and Helder Rodriguez, a former Yamaha factory rider and two-time podium finisher. Antoine Mayo, five-time Enduro World Champion and fourth at Dakar 2018. He'll be driving a Zephyr for the PH Sport team, and so too will Jean-Luc Pisson-Secaldi. There are several women in the T3s, with Saudi drivers Machiel Al Abaiden and Dania Akil, winner of the 2021 Baja World Cup in her class. We also have twin sisters, Alia and Yasmin Kolok. They'll be doing their first Dakar for Team Bagheera.
Matthias Ekström, you actually started by competing on the Dakar in the T3 class. That was back in 2021. Would you say it was a perfect way to adapt, to learn?
I think if you want to drive a car today, you have to drive in the T4 or in the T3 category. And for me, doing the Dakar first time in the SSV was great. I mean, to learn the road book, to learn the nature, to learn the type of the rally, I think is the base. So if you start with ambitions to become a T1 Plus driver, I think there's the smartest way to start in T4 or T3 and just collect all the experience, do the rallies, drive smart, and just also enjoy the moment, because still the experience you need to have to be able to do good in the T1 Plus, I think you can definitely get in the T3 or T4.
Well, I'm going to turn to the T4 class and have a word with Rokas Basiuska. It was your first Dakar last January. Was it, first of all, a dream to compete at the Dakar as a Lithuanian? And we know that the Dakar is huge in Lithuania.
Yeah, since when I was 14, 15 years old, with father we watch on TV Dakar. And I said to him, one day we will come to Dakar, because in Lithuania it's really popular, Dakar. In the beginning was the plan, top 10 it's a will be incredible feeling, to first Dakar. But yeah, we managed quite okay, we fight for the points every time on the stage, and in the last days, yeah, we can see that we can fight for the podium. That was incredible, and first time, first podium, first rookie, and yes, I cannot imagine how I did, but better now than later.
And then you had a fantastic season, 2022 season, with a victory in the FIA T4 class. Another satisfaction for you to be regular.
The title is the world champion is an important thing, and after Dakar, we see that we are in the good position, and then we decide to continue to drive. And Abu Dhabi we finished second, then Morocco first. And in the Daluzia was really tight, you know, Marek and Jones, we had only 1 point between us. And yeah, we are world champion.
And the goal now is simple, to win the Dakar.
Yes, exactly. It will be more pressure for me, and every driver will be more motivation to overtake me, you know. It will be challenge, yes, for sure.
Charles, some more information about the T4 category? There are almost 50 T4s registered, with more former bikers such as Xavier de Saultre, who is driving for Polaris. He was previously 7th at the Dakar, a Bajas world champion and runner-up at the French Enduro Championships. Nicolas Cavigliasso, a former winner in the quads, will also be driving in a Can-Am. Keep an eye out for youngsters including Pau Navarro, just 18 years old. He's only had his licence for a few months. His co-driver is Michael Metsch, another ex-factory biker who won Dakar stages for Honda and Sherco. And a nice family story with Nicolas Brabec, a former Dakar finisher in the bikes. He'll be lining up in T4, while his father, Peter Brabec, will compete in the Dakar Classic. Now to one of the most prestigious classes, the cars, with a host of title contenders.
4 have already won the Dakar, half a dozen dream of a first title. Team Toyota Gazoo show up with the title holder Nasser Al-Attiyah and his 4 Dakar crowns, as well as his recent FIA Rally Raid World Championship title. He'll be alongside 2009 winner Janil de Villiers and promising Henk Lattigan. Also driving the fast and consistent Hilux T1 Plus, Saudi's Yazid Al-Raji made it on the podium of the last Dakar. Eric Van Loon dreams of once again making it in the top 10. A year to learn, a second to conquer. Stéphane Péterancel and Carlos Sainz are aiming at another title, which would be Audi's first. Matthias Ekström could surprise the Dakar all-timers. For his 3rd year at BRX, Sébastien Loeb has never been so close to glory. A possible win to add to his 9 WRC titles. Winner of the last Morocco rally, Guerlain Chichrit, will be driving a Hunter prepared by ProDrive, a car to take him to the podium, or even better. The last victory of X-Raid was back in 2021. To once again put a Mini on the highest step of the podium, the squad will be counting on Poland's Kuba Przygoński, Argentina's Sebastian Halpern, or UAE's Khalid Al-Qasimi. Beware of the Century Racing factory team. In his 2-wheel drive buggy, Mathieu Serradori remains on a fine 7th spot. Baragwanath will be going for the top 10. Martin Prokop returns in his very powerful Ford. After a setback last year, the Czech driver wants to better his 6th place of 2016. And finally, the MD Rally team lines up 7 Optimus buggies, a perfect tool for Christian Lavieille and Pierre Lachaume to worry the big guns. In the T2 class for production vehicles, Japan's Akira Miura will again be aiming at the title. His main rival remains his French teammate Ronald Bassot.
Alors Mathieu Baumel, vous êtes
Mathieu Baumel, you've been Nasser Al-Attiyah's co-driver for almost a decade now. What is Nasser like inside the car and outside of it?
Mais aussi en dehors.
Nasser Al-Attiyah is exactly like you've seen him on television. He's very generous, very kind, always friendly and smiling. And luckily for me, he's the same in the car during the rally. Whatever's happening, whether it's good or bad, we always manage to keep our calm and avoid stress, which helps us to work better, especially me with the navigation. So I'm very lucky. Is he a work colleague, a friend, a brother? Yeah, he's my brother now. During the year, I spend more time with him than with my family, so it's fortunate that we have such a strong relationship. As Sebastian said earlier, it has an impact on your results, that relationship, how you work, that mutual confidence. We're together at rallies, but also away from rallies. And it's a big plus for everything that can happen to us during a race. Well, careful, because lots of people are listening in, but which crew is the favourite to win Dakar 2023? Well, if you know, please tell me. There are certainly some big names on the entry list, and the competition will be fierce. In every team, there is at least one crew that's capable of winning, And I think that's actually a good thing. It's nice to have competition instead of being all alone. And there is certainly plenty of competition at the Dakar. Sebastian, same question. Who's the favourite for Dakar 2023? Is there one? It's hard to give a favourite. As Matthias said, there are at least 3 manufacturers, ProDrive, Toyota and Audi, who are going to be right up there. There are some top crews in every team, in every car, so it's very hard to say, but I'm sure it's going to be a great battle. And you never race based on what other people are doing. You do your own thing. Yeah, of course. The objective is to win. I think all of us here have that same objective. So you can't look at the others. You just try to do the best possible job. These are endurance races of 500 kilometers with barely any information. So you can't really copy anyone unless you catch the car in front. We've just got to do our own rally and see where we end up.
Matthias Ekström, do you have the tool to win the Dakar as soon as year 2?
I think we have the car, the team, and for sure with Stefan and Carlos, also the experienced drivers to do so. And if I can have a couple of good days and stay out of trouble, maybe some days we can also show that we are fast. But to look for the overall picture for Audi, I think definitely we are much more ready this year compared to the first time. And also now the last testing we've done, you know, they asked me, what's your wishes? I said, I have no more wishes left. It's to go home and do my own preparation and then just wait for the Dakar to start. So just happy to wait for Christmas and then go there and let the race and show begin.
Sebastian Loeb, are you impressed by the Audi? You saw it at the last Dakar. It is an impressive car. Yeah, it's impressive, and the technology is pretty revolutionary. It's a bit surprising at first, but you soon realise that using an electric motor has benefits when it comes to driving the wheels. They always have torque, so they don't struggle to change gears in the soft sand. Their car has advantages on certain types of terrain. And I think with the strength of the Audi group, they've done a lot of work on reliability, so I'm a bit worried that the car is going to be reliable as well. Put all of that together and they are going to be major rivals. I just hope it's a fair fight. We're all using different technologies. I'd say theirs is better on the sand, but in faster sections we've got a good car too. I hope it'll be balanced, that we'll all be up there and we can have a nice battle with 5 or more cars.
Matthias, you were talking about Stéphane Péterrossel, Carlos Sainz. What kind of relationship do you have with these legends of the Dakar?
Yeah, our relation is very good. I learn a lot from them, and especially in testing and the rallies, it's the best benchmark you can have. So if you look on the data and the times afterwards, it's sometimes easy to do in the timing, but it's much nicer to do when you can dig more in the detail to see where we are equally fast or losing time or sometimes a little bit faster. So also to share meetings, to hear the feedback from them, and also to be a part of the development and to listen to their experience. For me as a rookie, I would say it's a very, very lucky situation to have those 2 top guys as teammates, and then also to have a very experienced team with Sven and Audi, I know since long. So for me, it's a very, very good surrounding to be in. And I think that's also why it's easier to look good as a rookie when you have the perfect surrounding.
Charles, I'll come back to you now. Tell us about the field in the cars.
Ce plateau en auto.
Nearly 80 cars have entered, and 2/3 of them are 4-wheel drive. We have around 10 manufacturers, including the top 2 in the 2022 World Rally Road Championship, Toyota and BRX ProDrive, as well as Mini, Nissan, Ford, Audi with their new hybrid technology, and Chinese brand BAIC. There are 2 main manufacturers for the 2-wheel drive cars, Century with its CR6 and the Optimus buggies produced by the MD Rally team. They will be fighting with Mini, who won the Dakar in 2020 and 21. Thank you, Charles. Finally, the truck class, and the situation has completely changed.
The truck race is wide open, not the slightest former winner. The crown is up for grabs. Fourth last year, Jannes van Kasteren appears to be the race favourite in his Doroi Iveco truck, while his teammate, Victor Versteinen, is also in with a chance. In the same machine, but under different colours, the Van den Brinks, father and son, Martin and Mitchell, will be among the top contenders. 11th of the last Dakar, Ben van der Laar and his brother Jan, sons of regretted Fried, can hope for a top 10 spot in their Iveco. Ever since his first Dakar, Martin Maciek has always had one objective: to conquer the crown. Second of the FIA T5 class at the World Rally Raid Championship, he has the tools to shine. Also from the Czech Republic, Alois Price in his Praga truck hopes to hit back after a disappointing last Dakar. He has already made it 4 times in the top 5, including a podium back in 2007. Thomas Vratny had a fine W2RC campaign, finishing 3rd of the championship. Now the goal is to shine on the toughest of all rallies. Winner of the FIA T5 class at the World Rally Raid Championship, Kees Koelen will hope to better his 13th spot of the last Dakar. And there's no stopping Team Hino and Teruhito Sugawara. With their revolutionary hybrid truck, the Japanese are aiming at another top 10 finish.
We are joined now by the man who came 5th in the trucks at last year's Dakar, Jannes van Kasteren of the Netherlands.
Kasteren, hello, welcome to Paris, Jannes. More than ever, you appear to be the favourites of the next Dakar?
Yes, I think after I finished after the 4 blue trucks last year, I'm one of the favourites, I think, yes, together with some other guys, of course.
What does a Dakar represent in your life? Is it something that you've followed for ages? I mean, as a Dutchman, trucks are important, we all know that.
Of course, you know the Roy family that made Dakar big in Netherlands. And then you I follow it since I was young, of course. And yeah, for me it's also connection with my father. My father always go with all my rallies. And this year he will participate in the classic rally as well. So yeah, it's like a red line in my life.
And Jannes, the dream, I suppose, the goal, the dream is to win the Dakar.
Yes, it is. Since I was with the Mammoet team, the Renault team, I wish that I could win one stage, and after this year, I wish I can win the Dakar. And I'm maybe one of the favorites, together with my teammates. There are some Czech really good drivers. So yeah, that's my goal this year.
How have you prepared for this Dakar? What have you changed, including on the Iveco truck?
We changed some major things on the chassis. We did more testing this year, so I drove 6-7 rallies this year, not only in the truck, also with the Arcane buggy. And we tried to get more power from the engine as well.
You mentioned a few of your rivals, but who will be your main rivals on this Dakar to come?
Of course, Martin Maciek. He's fast. Alois Lopre as well. They have a lot of experience.
Charles, a few words on these big juggernauts, the trucks. There will be over 55 trucks on the start line. Almost 2/3 of them are pure racing trucks, targeting an overall result. The rest are fast assistance trucks. That is a special feature of the Dakar, given the length of the stages and the rally as a whole. Thank you very much, Charles Coopers, and a big thank you to Jannes van Kasteren. Before a final word with David, let me tell you about the media coverage of this Dakar. On television, the rally will be shown in 190 countries, thanks to 70 broadcasters, and the Dakar boasts 5.6 million followers on social media. David, everything is almost ready for the next Dakar. There's just under a month to go until the start. Exactly. Another month to sort out the final details. I'd like to thank the federations with whom we work very closely, the governing bodies for cars and bikes, the FIA and the FIM, and the Saudi Arabian Motor Federation, SAMF, who've helped us to organise the rally, and of course all the Saudi authorities who are involved in making it happen. Thanks to our Dakar partners, without whom none of this would be possible. So all that remains is to get ready for this Dakar. Thank you to all of you for following this press conference. We'll see you on December the 31st in Saudi Arabia for the prologue, followed on January the 1st by Stage 1 of Dakar 2023.
Ah!